You think fuel's expensive at home? Check this out. Okay guys, well we've arrived at Punsand in Cape York, right up here near the tip, and I wanted to make this video for people like me who had no idea what they're in for. We're not taking the Telegraph Track, but we are taking the bypass road, but I wanted to show you the quality of the roads for people like me who want to take a full-size caravan, be that a full-size caravan like this that has off-road suspension or multi-terrain suspension, or even an on-road caravan with just torsion suspension. This will give you a really good idea of what to expect. Okay, so we started here in Cape Trib and then ventured down so straight through the Daintree and onto the ferry, of course across the ferry, and then from the ferry we went straight down to Mossman to get more supplies. Heading from there, we made it the first day, I think about 4 hours of driving to a place called Fairview. This place has powered sites with water, and on top of that, they offer you a buffet dinner and or buffet breakfast, which is pretty awesome. And I've got to tell you, I'm a pretty picky eater, but I actually really enjoyed the food that was there. Alright, well I was hoping to not air down because I'm lazy, and we only lasted about 5 minutes, and then we dropped all of the pressures because it's not that they're incredibly large ruts, but they're very, very well balanced, very consistent, and everything is shaking. So we're still managing to do about 70 kilometers an hour pretty comfortably with the tyres aired down. We went from, I'd say we dropped about 10-15 psi in every tyre, but it's made a hell of a difference. Well, I just pulled in to get fuel and said, are the rest of the roads like this? And he said, that road would have been pretty good, it just got done. It'll be good, 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 and then turn to shit pretty quickly. So, let's see how we go. And we're back onto it. Well, despite the shit conditions, we're still managing to sit on 80 to 90 kilometers an hour, which is pretty bloody quick. The roads aren't terrible, but we're only on the first leg. Let's keep going. Alright, we just passed a sign that said Musgrave. I presume we're in Musgrave now. We're also on a dirt road again, which has the much larger ruts, not the small, more repeated ones, but we're still cruising across them, no dramas, at sort of 80-90 k's an hour. You just really need to slow down for when you're passing other cars because they throw so much dust you can't see. But we're just jumping back onto the bitumen road right now. My main question, my main concern is I actually don't know where the service stations are. So I think I'll probably end up filling up at every servo along the way because I don't know what the distances are between them. I really did zero research in this because I just thought, let's just do it and see how we go. Alright, we're doing a toilet stop. Let's have a quick look. Caravan looks alright. You can see, I've got it. You can see there's only a bit of red dust here. The bikes are faring fine. If you do travel up here with bikes, make sure you buy a rack like this where it grabs the tyre and then it grabs the rear tyre. Don't buy one that grabs the frame because it will ruin your bike's frame. It just holds onto the paint and the paint just gets worn through. Alright, let's open this. Let the girls go to the toilet. Bit of red dust on the wheels. Everything looks alright though. So far, easy going. Another thing, if you are going off-road, make sure you always turn your 12 volt off. We've had it before where we accidentally left it on and the corrugations actually knocked the tap down and also knocked it all the way off the bench, and we lost 200 litres of water off the bench down into all the drawers onto the ground, flooded the ground, and we had like under our bed heaps of fabrics and whatever, towels and spare blankets, and everything was drenched because we didn't find it for, I don't know, 4 hours or something. and it was a long day. Let's just say it was a long day. So make sure you always turn off the 12 volt when you're going off-road.
Rooftop tent.
Someone's had a shit time, rolled their car, the rooftop tent's on the side of the road, and the roof rack's about another 30 metres ahead of it. Pretty brutal way to end your day, but that corner we just came around to get, I don't know if you can hear me, but the corner we just came around to get to that car was so soft. It appeared like any other corner, but it just had mounds of sand. It was really like, almost like beach driving. All right, we're 67 kilometers out of Cohen, and we've just got off a pretty brutal, bumpy road, and we're back onto the bitumen. Look, I was concerned it might be rat shit. So far, I would say the slowest we've done is averaged, 50, and the fastest is 90. It hasn't been that bad, but the locals said it might get really bad towards the end, so we'll see. Well, that didn't last long. Straight back onto the dirt. If you see a crushed vehicle on the side of the road, the odds are it's a dangerous area, so take it easy. Alright, we're 48 kilometres out of Cohen and back on the bitumen. Alright, well, we've just pulled into Cohen. They've got a little bush pantry place here that's doing lunch for everyone. You got the service station. We're about to just make lunch in the van, but I just thought it was interesting. We averaged 29.5 litres per 100 on the dirt road. That is actually what I would expect to average if I was doing 110, 115 kilometres an hour on the highway. So that's a pretty high reading, considering we probably average something like 60k an hour for the past 2 hours. Well, I was just walking up to the van and I noticed we had some water on the floor, so I opened up the hot water service, and it looks like it's got a drain plug down here, and that had just literally rattled loose. So we're slowly dumping water. That's going to happen no matter what. The vibrations are going to loosen stuff, whether it's the microwave, the fridge, or anything that's just got a generic screw in it, it's going to undo. Even the lid off your peanut butter, if you're not lucky. Another one, look at the clothesline. She's loose as. It's been slowly undoing. We'll have to tighten that up, otherwise it's going to completely let go on the road. There we are, all done up, much better. Alright, we're leaving Cohen. It's been bitumised for quite a way before Cohen and quite a way after Cohen, and we're on the way to Archer River Roadhouse. That's the plan. That is a snowstorm right there. Absolutely can't see it. Alright, that's the last of the dirt road. We're getting onto the bitumen and almost at Archer River Roadhouse, which will be probably where we pull up tonight. No, it was wishful thinking. Back onto the red top. Not sure how far to Archer, but we're just going to keep cruising. It's definitely straight ahead of us. We are not going by GPS, we're going by sense of smell. Okay, we've just arrived to Archer River Roadhouse, and you can see it's doing pretty well. The dust is keeping pretty low, pretty much under this line here. We have had that hot water service overflow came loose. I haven't checked the brackets on the water tanks yet, but I'll be having a look now. I will go over the wheel nuts. Everything looks like it's in place. I know there's a hanging cable over there. Let's have a quick look inside, see if there's any mayhem in there. We had the loose awning. So the only thing, funnily enough, even the toothbrushes up there didn't fall. And ignore this, it's just the soap that we knew was going to spill. But the actual bowl, silicon has let go. But just the way it's designed, it's still perfectly secure because the pipe is flexible. So I'll get some silicon. It looks like all they've done is this edge. So I'll get some silicon tonight and actually silicon the entire underside and hope that dries in time for tomorrow. But that's it. That's all the carnage there is so far, which is pretty good. The corrugations are horrendous. I mean, you put them on a normal house and they would literally shake it to the ground. but obviously we have higher expectations for RVs. And just to give you an idea of how we prepped, we took the plate, the rotating plate, out of the microwave and put the TV down. But we left the hanging fruit here. We didn't go too crazy. For instance, the kids' iPad's still in the binder. We didn't go too crazy and everything's sweet. So we'll see how tomorrow goes all the way to the tip. We are at the Archer River Roadhouse and there's no power and there is water, but it's only at selected points, so you can sort of fill up, but you can't connect in full time. And I don't know what that quality of that water is. Judging by their water tanks, it might be bore water. But right next to this is, hello handsome, right next to this is a river which you can go swimming in. You'll see a couple of shots here. It's really shallow at the moment, but I've heard it gets a lot deeper. However, for us with the young kids, shallow was absolutely perfect. This is a great spot to stop, gives you the 4 hours of driving, and then we'll do another 4 today to try and get all the way to the tip. Fingers crossed, the caravan holds up, but between you and me, I have no worries at all. Well, we've left the Archer Roadhouse and on the dirt roads on the way towards the Telegraph Track. And these are some of the best roads we've come across. I was expecting them to get worse and worse, and maybe they still will, but these are pretty good roads so far. Well, we're on Telegraph Road, which leads to Telegraph Track, and it's been one of the better roads we've been on so far. Keep you updated. That's a Morton Telegraph Station. Just gone over a nice bridge, and we're just going to keep cruising. Where are we stopping for lunch? Bramwell. We're aiming for Bramwell. We're aiming for Bramwell. So far, the north end of the road's been pretty sweet. A couple nasty spoon drains, but besides that, the corrugations have been great. But I really do feel like it's just guesswork. Depends on when you come past and when they last went over the road. My guess is they just finished that road. Alright, well, we've just got into Batavia National Park. Again, the roads are all bitumised and so far, so good. That's the Bramwell Tourist Park on our right. So far this road's been absolutely sweet. You just got to watch out for when you hit the really white sands, because it's literally like driving on dry beach. It's slippery as. Besides that, same problems. Some spoon drains you can go through at 100 kilometers an hour, and some you have to go through at 50 kilometers an hour. You think fuel's expensive at home? Check this out. $2.82. Well, there you got it, the old Telegraph Track. This is a start to it. We're going to be taking the bypass road just because of the sheer size. But I reckon if this video gets to like 1 million likes, I'll be able to persuade Snowy River to let me take that caravan down that absolutely horrific path. And I'm not saying it's a good idea, I'm not saying it will make it, but I reckon if we get enough supporters, enough people to click like on the video, that they'll allow me to do it. So click like, it's the only thing I'm asking you to do. This is a free video. We do this out of the love of our heart. We love what we do, and with your support, we can do even more epic shit to come. All right, guys, well, we're going to do the bypass track purely because of the size of this thing, but the bypass track is no mean feat either. It's still going to rattle the shit out of the caravan and be rough as guts, no doubt. So, well, let's just keep going and see how it all holds up. So this is a perfect example of where you don't want to drive on the far left if you can help it. You come into the middle of the road, you can see it's much more compressed and it's shiny. That's where the ground's much more compressed and safer to drive on. It might be a different scenario in the wet, it might become a slick, but in the dry, if you head over to that soft stuff there, it'll actually pull your wheels to your left, because your left wheels will be in the soft and your right stuff will be in the dry. Well, we're on the bypass road, and we definitely found the corrugations. They are some of the worst ones we've come across. They're not ones you can skip across very well. They're rough as guts. Rough as guts. We just pulled over for a toilet break, but just to give you an idea of how soft the sides of the roads are, look at that. That's super soft, and that's just pulling off the road for a toilet break. So you got to watch the edges because they'll pull you right into them. Captain Billy Landing, 30 kilometres up that track. That's not where we're heading. We're going to keep going down this track. We've sort of got off the bad corrugations, but it's also a tight road and there's lots of idiots around. So we'll just take it easy and keep an eye on them. Okay, so at that green and beige border is the Teletrack. So as we pull up to it, we should see it come out on our left. I'm guessing it almost joins our road for a bit, and then it will go back to the Teletrack on the right. I reckon that's it right there. So that's a Teletrack, joins up, and then it's going to go, I think, all the way up to about here, and then it will split off again back onto the Teletrack. So technically we're on the Teletrack right now. Take that. Alright, so you can see we're coming back up to here, and this is going to put them back on the Teletrack again. So we just joined them for the little bit of Teletrack. Oh, she's so rough. There you go. Telegraph Track right there. So that was the entry back onto the Telegraph Track. These roads are pretty shit. Once in a lifetime type of roads. Right. All good, thank you. Just toilet stop. So another thing, as you just saw then, keep your radio on. Channel 40, just about everyone has their radio on. They just asked if we were alright. They saw us on the side of the road. It's super handy just to know, even if you want to overtake someone, it's just handy to be able to communicate with everyone around you. Getting fuel just near the Jardine River Ferry. You can see it's $2.70 again, which is, I think, cheaper than the last spot. I'm not sure. And then I believe just in here we got to buy the ticket to the ferry, and then we'll be heading just over there to join the line of cars, and we'll see how we go across the ferry. Ferry's going to be a nice break after all the corrugations, nice and smooth. So we've just got a ferry ticket, but interestingly this is the only place I've ever seen a border watch. It must just be with the fact that we're so close to other countries. I think Papua New Guinea, we're really, really close, and it'll be quite easy to sneak into Australia that way. Anyway, let's see how the ferry goes. Jumping on the ferry, well, this was actually the only time the Caravan touched its ass, and they didn't even tell us. I noticed that I've got these coiled hose back here, which I just leave this coil, this one here, I just leave it on there because I can't be bothered putting it away all the time. And then I noticed when I pulled over, this clamp was actually in the fuel bucket here. So I think the guy had gone around the back and actually just thrown it in the bucket and figured that would do, rather than telling me. But you can also see I clamped the diesel heater shut. So the ferry ticket was $250. This is the ferry that actually broke down not long ago, and everyone wanted to get across, so they were just pulling it across with tractors. And I just asked the guy at the service station, he said some idiot filmed it, put it on Facebook, and Maritime Safety came down and said, if you keep doing that, we're going to pull the whole boat out of the water. This is expensive and rough as guts ferry. All good. Thanks, mate. It's worth mentioning that I think we took up that entire ferry. No one else could fit on with our sort of, what are we, about 15 metres of car and caravan, a bit longer. But we took up the entire ferry, so I'm hoping the $250 was a return. I don't know that I asked. But let's hope the roads are in way better condition than they were the other side of the Jardine River, because that was shit. You can see it's quite a different landscape around here. Really, really sand-based. We've been in nothing but red dirt for so long. This is a nice change. That's a Teletrack, that's the last of it. So we came in from one end, or we went around one end, and this is the other end. And it's soft and sand and rutted as hell. That's what happens when your caravan doesn't make it. Well, here's a casualty for you. daughter's bike, but it's not even broken. It's a stupid quick release, which is genuinely, I thought this might happen when I saw that quick release. But now there's nothing holding the tyre. It's actually impressive we haven't run that fucking wheel over. Anyway, that's the first bit of carnage for the trip. Alright, well, we're on the road to Punsand and it's as bad as any of them. There's sort of corrugations where you lose all steering, like it's really shit. That's gonna rattle a couple of things loose, I'm sure. Alright, we are getting into God knows where and we're turning left to go to Punsand Bay. Don't know what this place is. Croc Tent, the Croc Tent.
You want to stop?
No. Pajinka, accommodation to the right, and we're going left, hopefully to Punsand Bay. Well, we come to a crossing. And it's not what we like doing on our own, but I don't think we got a choice. That looks seriously deep. Let's go.
Mike, Colin's on.
Well, river crossings is not something we really enjoy doing, but luckily those two guys who we'd already talked to over the UHF came up behind us and showed us that it had a very solid bottom, but that was pretty deep. Anyway, we made it through all right, but I'm definitely glad they came up just to show us how deep it was and what line to take. Well, we're getting close. We're still following the two blokes who helped us through the waterway, but you can see here the ocean is just on our left after a brutal 12 hours of driving through the middle of the country, middle of it. Nothing but country, and we're out at the ocean, and you can see on the GPS we are right at the tip. So we'll park up soon and check out the damage. I suspect there's going to be some because that was brutal as all hell. Even I'm going to have a look over the patrol, even though it's brand new. Those corrugations were just crazy. Imagine sometimes this would all be full of water. So that's it. Check this out. Holy hell, what a trip that was. 10 out of 10, wouldn't do again. But what an experience. What do you think, Banana?
Once in a lifetime, for sure.
Yeah, it's a once in a lifetime trip. I don't know, you'd have to be mad to want to do that all the time. All right, let's go. Hope we can check in. All right, we're in our spot. Just going to unhitch and then we'll assess the damage. Well, I got to say, considering the dust, you can see on the outside of the seal here and none on the inside. The car is still absolutely immaculate inside, considering the absolute filth of the dust. And the same for the Caravan, actually. I think the dust reduction system must have done its job, because well, you can see the outside here. That's the vent, which is not ideal, but still there's nothing inside. One thing worth noting is the fact that I don't think there's any potable water here. I think you're meant to retain all of your grey water, and then on top of that there's not even a dump spot, which is the first time I've ever heard of that. We didn't dump before we came here, which is a pain in the ass. But yeah, there's not even a dump spot here. If you want to dump, then you have to go back, I don't know, half an hour on a real shit road to go to the closest dump spot. So that caught us off guard. So yeah, that's definitely worth noting. If you're coming up to Punsand, that the water and the dump points and the grey water, it's all painful. So make sure you load it up. We did have, luckily, 200 litres of water anyway. But the dumping, that caught us out, which is weird because they've got toilets and facilities, so I feel like they would have a sewer. I don't know why they wouldn't have a dump point. All right, well, we got our stuff together, and conclusion is there is actually no damage besides the 2 sinks that happened yesterday. And I just used some silicone to re-adhere them, put better quality stuff and more of it, and they've been fine. I'm actually surprised. That was the most brutal road I've taken a car on, let alone a caravan. And I mean, it's in one piece. There's not a single crack in any of the corners of the silicons, nothing. I mean, these things are built well. That being said, this is an aluminium welded frame. I'd be very cautious about towing a timber frame caravan down here for multiple reasons, but if not just the fact that they're just not bonded as well. They're not as strong. They're literally stapled together. This is welded aluminium. This is absolutely bulletproof. All right, guys, well, we are on to Cape York, the very tip today. It's actually a really beautiful forest drive if you have a look through here, which is not what I was expecting considering all of the rest of it's just been, I don't know, not nearly as dense or lush, but I suppose we are back at the coastline now.
Put the kids' windows down, they can see.
Guys, have a look out your windows.
Can they get them tied?
I see a bit of a mountain. Looks like we're getting somewhere. A couple of abandoned, what I can only presume were houses, up on the track to Cape York at the tip, and only 100 metres from here. Have a look at that. Take it. She busy.
The tip of Australia. Hey, let's take photos.
Roro, smile camera. Roro, look, it's a cheese. Nice. What are you going to catch? Barra. So little man's here, he's casting over here, and within about 5 seconds it's back over here because the tide's ripping out so quickly. All the wind's coming from the right, so it's absolute mayhem in the middle here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. We are going to now cross back over the Jardine River and then go camp on the end of the Teletrack and film some of the Teletrack, see how the car goes, and if it's not horrendous, I'm going to drag this thing down there because I know everyone wants to see it, and well, I want to see it. Anyway, make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.